Welcome, Greek U Nation, to episode number 693 of the Fraternity Foodie Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Mike Eilon, CEO of Greek University. I'm a speaker and an author. Our ninth book just came out. It's called From Letters to Leaders, The Legacy of Service. So I want you to go and pick up that book on Amazon today. We call these episodes the Fraternity Foodie Podcast because there is nothing like great food to bring college students together. Fun fact, I learned how to work out while I was in college from my big brother in the fraternity. I knew absolutely nothing about working out, and I am so grateful that he took the time to teach me how to work out every day and all of the different body parts, because if not for him, I don't even know what life would be like today. So I really, really appreciate that he did that, and I would highly suggest. I know that college students don't necessarily have a lot of extra money laying around, but a gym membership is probably one of the best things that you can do while you're in college, not only for your physical health, but also for your mental health, to be able to deal with a lot of the problems in terms of stress and anxiety that you're going to feel while you're in college. So I would highly suggest that to all of our listeners out there. And along those lines, we have a couple of guys that really, really have just an incredible story to share with you that I think are really going to leave a big imprint on you today. The first is David Finkelstein. He's an 82-year-old former criminal attorney turned a fitness inspiration who's redefining what aging looks like. While most people his age are slowing down, Dave is speeding up, lifting, moving, and living with more strength and clarity than he had in his 40s. After decades in the courtroom, Dave put away his briefcase, hung up his business suits, and picked up a new mission: unlocking the secrets of lifelong strength, vitality, and resilience, both mentally and also physically. We also have with us today Rado Pagac. He is an award-winning bodybuilder, an elite personal trainer, and a recovery coach. By combining fitness coaching with high-level science, he empowers active seniors to defy age-related decline and helps individuals in recovery sustain long-term sobriety. He's the co-author of the new book. It's called The Better Me, A Better You. And Rado survived a difficult childhood in Slovakia to build a life centered on physical and mental resilience. He provides the definitive blueprint for building strength, overcoming addiction, and also sustaining vitality at any age. Welcome to the show, guys. It's great to have you on board.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Of course. So, David, we'll start with you. I know you practiced criminal law for 40 years. I'm wondering, a lot of our students our listeners are college students. So, looking back at your life, what are some of the habits that you had maybe in your 20s or your 30s that eventually caught up with you?
Okay, I'm probably the last person you would want to follow as far as good habits, because I had every habit you could think about. So among them, no exercise, zero. Also, fast foods was my go-to. Processed foods all day long, because I was in the office preparing for trials during the nights and weekends. That's what I had: sub sandwiches, pizzas. Once in a while, they're okay, but not as a habit. And I got no sleep because I would go to bed at 2 or 3 in the morning thinking about my case, and it would start at 9, and I'd get up and I wasn't restored at all. So my whole body was not restored. And as a result of that, when I was practicing law, my whole body became deteriorated. Of course, we can see on the outside as we get older. And by the way, Mike, I'm now 83. I'm a year older since I spoke to you. I'm 83. My body was deteriorating. Now, I see as we get older, and I can see myself, I got black and blue marks very easily. That happens as part of the aging process because collagen diminishes and you don't have elasticity in your skin anymore. You don't have vibrance and you don't have smoothness. And that's part of the biological aging. But you don't realize what's going on in here. So inside your body, your 17 trillion cells, what's going on with them? And you've got to keep yourself healthy to get going. And none of us, many of us just ignore it. We pay better attention to our own automobiles than we do to our own bodies. And think about it. We have, what, a dozen or more automobiles in our life, but we only have one body. And we really don't pay as much attention to it. And what happened was, like anything else, I started to deteriorate. I spastic colon, herniated disc, high blood pressure, you name it, I had it. I spent my days in my 30s and 40s going to doctors, psychologists, physical therapists, taking medications. And I could see I was heading down a pathway that I started to question whether when I retired, would I even make it to retirement? I had to do something. And I did something kind of radical. I switched from becoming an attorney who was largely practicing by sitting down in an office or at a desk in a courtroom and became a personal trainer. And just my life, just imagine, just turned itself 180 degrees around. And now I got rid of the inflammation. I dropped 40 pounds. I had muscles where I had fat. I had ability to bend, to turn, to twist like I had never been before. I became like a new person. Now, I would tell everybody, all your listeners that are now 20 years old, that your habits that you develop today will definitely determine your health tomorrow. Definitely, 100%. And I'll repeat that because it's so important. The habits you develop today will definitely determine your health tomorrow. So get into a gym, start throwing away the processed food, make yourself a salad, a healthy salad now and then, get yourself plenty of protein for your muscles and strength, and get those minerals and vitamins that you need for strong bones as well, because you age 30, your muscles start to deteriorate. It's hard to imagine that because we think we look great at age 30. And what else happens is that your bones start to thin out at age 30. And if you ignore it, it's going to be too late because you're going to be bent over, you're going to move slowly, you're going to have fog in your brain, everything bad is going to happen. And now you have to reinvent yourself as I did. And I'm not saying it can't be done because I think I did it, and I think I did it very successfully. And you got to develop these habits. Develop them now. Develop them now. And most important, get yourself a group of friends, because loneliness is what's killing us today. Stress is what's killing us today. Get yourself a group of friends. Talk out your problems. Enjoy your life. Get yourself somebody as a social being that you're compatible with, that you can live with. Oh, I don't want to talk too much, Mike. You got to shut me off.
No, you have some
For the whole 30 minutes.
Listen, you have some great suggestions. I really like the idea of, finding a friend, especially somebody that can work out with you, somebody that can hold you accountable in the gym. I think it worked for me because I had my big brother to force me to go to the gym on those days in college that I just didn't feel like it. We had been out late the night before, and now it's 7 o'clock in the morning, and he wants to go to the gym because we said we would, and now I'm feeling tired, right? So
Leave
I
me
think that
alone.
accountability is good.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. The
But
other thing that I wonder too is, I mean, you look great. I mean, there's no question for 83 years old, you look absolutely phenomenal. Your brain is as sharp as can be. But I'm just wondering, why didn't you make this transformation before you turned 60? Why did you wait until 60 to do something? And I mean, I guess that's the big question.
I think life got in my way, like it does in a lot of people's way. I graduated, and I needed to establish myself. I needed to get a job. I found myself at the lower rung of attorneys looking for jobs. I was not a great student. I lived 10 miles from campus. I even had to show my ID at one final test. They didn't believe I was in the class because that's how often I showed up. So I was not the best student. And on to law school, I just managed to make it in because I had some good boards, and I just managed to graduate, but that didn't do me very well with my resume as to my grades and so forth, and I struggled. So I think struggling, trying to get a job, just getting in the way, finding a soulmate, getting married, having a kid, buying a house, all of life's things just stopped me from doing what I needed to do.
Yeah.
And
Well, listen, that's good that you got yourself into good habits. And I guess the moral of the lesson is life is going to happen to all of us. But if you can build those good habits early on, then you'll continue those habits through marriage and kids and jobs and all of the things that you're talking about.
absolutely, no
Yeah.
question,
Yeah.
100%, no
Well,
question.
hey, Rado, what about you? Your story couldn't be more different than David.
Well, it's slightly different from David's story because as David started a little later on in his life, I jumped on the wagon at the age of 13. And for me, it was kind of a coping mechanism because as I think it was about 10 years old when my dad started drinking, and by the age of my 13, he was heavily involved with alcohol, and he turned into a full-blown alcoholic. So for me, this was kind of an escape room. I started first working out with just a few pairs of dumbbells and then barbell made up out of the concrete, put the bar in between two big cans filled up with concrete. That was our first barbell, and we pretty much built up our first gym by our own sources. So later on, I just kept going with the same routine for many years, and once I was not even at high school yet when I was working out. I came to high school and I was one of the strongest kids. I was just first year high school, and guys 3 4 years older were trying to pick up the fights with me, or arm wrestling, or doing a competition and push-ups. And I'm like, you know what? I think this was a good call for me to start from a very early age because it helped me not just physically but also mentally. It helped me overcome certain issues in my life. Unfortunately, it didn't improve any relationship with my dad because he still went on with his own issues that he was dealing with the wrong alternative, which was alcohol. And back then, I couldn't really understand why he is doing what he is doing to me, to my two brothers, to my mom. But it took me a while to understand that he was sick. He had a disease that he could, I'm not saying easily avoid, but there are certain steps that you can do to be able to get rid of alcoholism and stop drinking, stop taking pills, stop taking drugs. For me, I can tell it helped my life to stay clean and stay on the right path. So I built this my pretty much my whole life around the gym habits. I pushed really hard at the gym. It reflected at my high school, that reflected in my college, because as hard as I was pushing weights at the gym, I was working on my exams even harder. So I had this resilience, I had this determination that I built through workout, and I mirrored it into my real life. So pretty much every aspect of my life was being affected by my early start working out at the gym, and slowly started thinking about competing, which was another chapter. So I was pretty much my first year of college, I made a decision that I'm going to enter natural bodybuilding show. And I have to say it again, natural bodybuilding show, because a lot of guys at that age, when they're 18 to 20, they start taking easy way out and they start using steroids to support, to enhance their growth. I decided from the very beginning, I don't want to have anything with drugs. If it's drugs that such as cocaine or marijuana or alcohol, or even drugs used as a performance drugs to help you gain some muscles and gain some strength. I totally decided to do this on my own with my own strength, all natural way, and I stuck with it for over 30 years. So my era started, my bodybuilding era, natural bodybuilding era started when I was 20. I was just a couple months short from 21 when I did my first bodybuilding show, and I placed second out of the lineup of 15 guys, which was for the newcomer a really good success. And I knew that after that first show, this is the way I want to go. My next step, a couple of years later, after gaining some more muscle and getting more experience on the podiums in Czechoslovakia, where I grew up, and a couple countries in Europe, I decided to move a little bit farther up. And my next step naturally was United States. So I started competing in natural shows and fitness shows in United States around 2001. And it didn't take me too long to make my next decision, which was permanently moving to United States. That happened 2 years later. After 3 or 4 shows, I competed at a couple shows in New York, a couple shows in California. And by the summer of 2003, after I graduated college, and I already had a full-time job as a men's health editor in Czech Republic, I said, you know what, I'm going to take a leap of faith. I have built up a really good career as a personal trainer and nutritionist, as well as a fitness editor. I realized, you know what? I feel like living like a bird living in a golden cage, if you know what I mean. So you have a beautiful golden cage, but you cannot go far. So yeah, I enjoyed all the perks, all the fame back home and all the perks that came with it, but I still internally felt like this is not what I really want. This is not where I'm aiming. This is not where I want to end. So I left everything behind, came to United States. It was a big struggle. And of course, I didn't start being a successful trainer or men's health editor in the United States. I started as a cleaner. So I was cleaning houses and I was house sitting. I was doing all kind of jobs I could put my hands on just to make some buck, to be able to pay a rent, to be able to save somehow for my first car, and slowly started building my career. But along that way, I was still working out and I still kept my thoughts sharp and I still kept my determination at the gym as well as in real life. It didn't take a little too long. I think about 3 years later, I went back. I got 2 years after 2005. I did my first show again in United States after 2 years break. And from that on, I just kept on competing up until 2015. And within a few years, my determination paid off and I was able to open my own gym back in 2010, which I successfully ran until our COVID situation for 10 years. And somewhere along that time, I met David, who needed to sharpen up his knowledge about training and nutrition advice and needed somebody who could keep him accountable. And that's how our relationship started, as a trainer and a trainee, and it turned into a really good relationship. And then 2 years later, we decided to put our knowledge together and our experience together. And instead of just writing little articles now and then and doing a little podcast every now and then, we decided to put it all together in a book. And that's how we came up with the idea, A Better Me, A Better You, the name of our book.
That is awesome. Well done. Really good job, guys. And it's interesting how you both came from different places in terms of your life experiences. The college students right now, I'm going to be honest with you. First of all, they're broke. So they're looking at fast food and they're like, that's the easiest thing for me because it's fast and it's cheap, right? So that's what they're thinking about. And they're not sleeping enough. They're basically trying to do as much as they can, pull all-nighters before an exam. So they're maybe sleeping 3 or 4 hours a night. They're just going to say, well, I'll get healthy later, like David, when I'm 60, that's when I'm going to get healthy. Why do you think that is a problem? What's the cost of waiting until you're 60?
Well, you don't realize you're not working out just to look good. It's a thing that people do when you're in your 20s. You're like, oh, I want to impress girls. I want to work out hard. It's not the main reason. You'll realize it later on in the later stage of your life. But your body, it's a medical cabinet on its own. When you work out, you release so-called myostines in your system, which are these little pills flowing through your body to try. It's a peptide. It helps your body to improve your brain function, to improve your insulin levels, to improve your inflammation in your system, and it's overall helping your body to reproduce new cells and keep your body and your mind healthier and sharper. So a lot of people are losing up on this. And again, when you start early, you build a habit. Like I mentioned, I started when I was 13 years old and I built that habit and it's in me. So we have a saying in Slovakia, what you learn in a young age, it's like you find in the older age. So basically, you have it in you and it's still with you all those years, all the time. And once you build that habit, we're a creature of habit. So you can keep continuing going with it. So it's better to build a healthy habit at the beginning and keep going with it all your life. And it helps you eventually, rather than trying to stick with the bad habits like drinking, taking, pills that bump up your brain function so you can study for the exam, rather than taking a nap or having a long sleep and then naturally reproduce those brain cells to help you to stay sharper. No, we choose completely. It's everybody's looking for shortcuts, and that's the problem. And especially I see it in the younger generation. Everybody's looking for shortcuts when it comes down to building the body. Everybody looking for shortcuts to make money. Everybody's looking for shortcuts. I'm going to do an exam. I'm going to pop up some pills so that it can keep me up all night. But the results are not the same, because eventually we will pay the price.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. David, let's assume that you're a busy college student in your 20s, right? And you only have 15 minutes a day to improve your health. How would you spend those 15 minutes a day? What would you do? What exercises?
So I would break that down into three 5-minute exercises or challenges. I'd first do for 5 minutes, each one is 5 minutes. I would first do some strengthening exercises. You don't even need any equipment. So I'm talking about squats, 2 sets, 30 seconds between sets of 10 repetitions. Just make sure you have something to lean on if you need it. And you can just do it in the middle of your floor and just do a squat up and down. You can do it from your chair even. You can do it from your chair. And push-ups. If you're not in any good shape, you can do wall push-ups, and those are great for starting. Just lean into the wall, hold it, push back. 10 times, 2 sets. Both of those things will take you 5 minutes in total. Second of all, I would do flexibility exercises, leg raises and bends and twists. My flexibility at 83, honestly, is better than it was at 43. It's better than it was. I can twist further, I can bend further, I can reach higher. So what's going on inside is working. So I've almost feel like I've been reborn. The third thing I would do, and as you're setting out on your day or your classes, is 5 minutes of deep breathing and meditation. Get yourself in a corner away from your roommates or away from people. 5 minutes of quietness and breathe in slowly. If you need energy, like you normally do at the beginning of the day, longer breaths in, more oxygen that's providing more energy, slower breaths out. If you need to rest and relax at your end of the day, the reverse. Smaller amounts of breath in, longer exhales. So those 3 things take 15 minutes. And you're set for the day. If you have extra time, open your door, take a 15-minute walk, because then you can clear your head as you walk to class. You can think about your problems of the day, and you can resolve some of the stresses that are following with you as you're walking. And you can get rid of them. Actually get rid of them.
I agree completely. Those are really, really good suggestions. I like how you broke that down into those 5-minute intervals for different things. I think that's super helpful. Are there any big mistakes that you see people in their 20s that they're making? What do you see from your lens?
I see that everybody hops into their vehicles, whether it's their e-bikes, their motorcycles, or their cars or trucks. We should be moving. The body is meant to move. The lotion is in the motion. That's where you get healthy. That makes your bones actually reconstruct. That takes away that fallow look as you concave in and you look so fragile. It pushes you back. It builds up your muscles, certainly your leg muscle. So people walk to every place. They should be walking to every place. Don't take, if it's a mile away, a class, or you want to go to the drugstore, or you need to go to the library, don't take your motor vehicle. Walk every place you can. And there's plenty of opportunity if you think about it. You will be rewarded. That's number one. Number two, you really need to. Food is poison in some ways. That's not me saying that. That's the American Heart Association saying what happens when you always has as your main source of food is processed food or fast food, as we say, or cravings. Our cravings is what kills us. We need this. We want this. We need to develop how not to give in to our cravings. So I don't see a lot of people doing that, particularly at a younger age. They just want to satisfy their cravings. And they're not even thinking about what they're ordering. They're not even thinking about what they're eating. They're doing it as a habit. They're doing it without even thinking about it. And what they walk away from that meal, less healthy than they took that meal. Cholesterol, high blood pressure, inflammation, fat, everything that you don't want in your body is now processed itself inside your body. Now you have to get rid of it. How do you get rid of it? I guess you go to the gym, you work it off. But why even bother to get those bad things, those unhealthy things in your body in the first place? So that's what I see.
Yep, you make a great point there. And when you go to other countries too, I've been to places like Amsterdam as an example. Everybody's riding their bike, everybody's walking everywhere. They don't use cars to get around. They really
I was in Amsterdam. You don't see cars on the
You don't
road.
see cars, and if you do, they're really tiny. But like, yeah, they don't really use cars. They just ride their bike everywhere. There's bikes everywhere. You'll get run over by a bicycle,
Yeah,
or people are just walking and running everyhere.
that's right.
So, I mean,
So,
maybe that's
yeah.
it.
So I have a group of friends that are actually two husband and wife friends, that two sets that are actually older than I am, and they're in pretty good shape, certainly for their age. And they're from Slovakia, their origin, and from Germany. And when their relatives come over to this country to visit, because they have large families back then, the first thing they say, the very first thing, you Americans are so fat. You're so out of shape.
True. It's really, really true. We got to
It's
do something about
noticeable. It's noticeable by other people.
it. It
I
is.
gotta agree with that too, because I go back and forth between my country and coming back here, and it's a significant difference.
Yeah.
And especially with like in California, people say if you don't have a car, it's like you don't have feet. But I try to walk everywhere I can. I try to do at least 10,000 steps every day. And even when I have to take a short trip, I'd rather take a bicycle than sitting in a car and drive around. So it's a very bad habit of people living here, just not being able to use their legs, and
Totally.
they refuse doing it. Yeah.
Totally agree. Rado, what's one exercise that every college student should master before they graduate from college?
It's a tough question because I have my favorite exercises, but I think the exercise that people should know doesn't require going to the gym. And David already mentioned in his three ways how to use the 15 minutes right. I totally agree with him. And I would definitely make sure that everybody knows how to do a correct push up,
Ah,
because it's one of the exercises. Like if somebody asks me, hey, you don't go to the gym, what can you do? You can do all different variations of push ups, and you can use pretty much every single muscle, even legs, if you think about it, because you're supporting your whole body on your toes and your hands. So you can involve your shoulders, biceps, triceps, back, core, and even your legs. So, and believe me, I have a lot of guys who come train with me, and I'm not talking, I train people from 20 years old until 85 years old. There are guys who come in their 20s, they don't even know how to do a proper push-up, which is pretty sad. Not talking about pull-ups. Majority of people who walk to the gym can barely do one pull-up. So I would say push-up is my favorite exercise, my exercise of choice that I would recommend for everybody to really do well, but all the body exercises. Because like David said, lotion is emotion. So basically, if you don't know how to move your own body, then you don't even know how to use the weights right. So you have to understand how your body moves, how your body shifts, and how you use your body properly. So definitely push-ups, squats, tricep dips, abdominal core workout is very important as well. So there's multiple exercises, but like I said, if I really had to choose only one, I will probably stick with push-up because it covers it all.
Well, Rado, everything you're talking about there is all really strength training that you're talking about. But I know a lot of college students that are like, oh, you know what? I get my steps in, or, maybe I have a treadmill, so I'll hop on the treadmill, but they're not doing any strength training. So why is strength training so important for long-term health?
Well, one thing, when you do cardio, you're losing calories. But when you do weight training, you're gaining muscles, you're increasing your metabolism because more active weight you have on your body, the higher metabolism rate you get as well. So basically, somebody who's 200 pounds and carries 25 to 30% of fat versus to someone who is same body weight and carries only 15% body fat and extra 15 pounds of muscle. That person can afford to eat 600 calories daily more, and it still doesn't sustain enough energy for the body to burn. And another thing is also when you have your muscles, like I mentioned before, there are certain peptides released in your system that do a self recovery of your whole body and brain. Another thing is it supports your skeletal system as well. So if you don't have enough muscles built, you're more prone to breaking your bones, and especially paid later when you pay for it later when you get into your 40s, 50s, especially the women. If they don't have enough muscles, they have a lot of issues with osteoporosis. And it's not only women, also guys have the same issue. Of course, it affects women more because their estrogen levels go down, but guys suffer with osteoporosis as well. So, like we mentioned before, the habits you learn in early age, those habits will stay with you for your rest of your life. So yeah, I totally disagree with, oh, I'm just going to burn off some calories by going for a brisk walk for a half hour around the neighborhood. No, it doesn't do it all. You have to do both. You can do your cardio to support your heart. You can do your cardio to burn more calories, but you need solid muscle mass on your body to keep your body healthy. And we're not talking only about guys. A lot of women, they're like, oh, I'm going to the gym. I use the gym every day. But what do? 70% of those women who don't have trainers or don't have any advice from somebody else, they go on treadmill.
Right.
Why would you even join the gym to use the treadmill? 90% of all the time you're using only treadmill. You can do the same thing outside. Yeah, I understand if you live in countries or states where it's cold in the winter. We don't have that problem here, fortunately. But still, when you're at the gym, there's so much equipment that you can use to improve your body. And if you don't know how to do it, there's always people like myself who are willing to help. And ask friends, ask your guy friends, hey, show me some exercises so I can do to look better, to improve my muscle mass, to improve my health.
Yeah, that's really good. One of the things, David, that I'm seeing with college students right now is they're all using these energy drinks. Everybody's drinking Celsius, everyone's drinking Monster, like all of this stuff, and it's powering these students through their day. What concerns do you have with this fad that's happening with energy drinks?
Well, we know the source of the energy. It's the caffeine.
Right.
What's the source of the caffeine? Okay, it could be a coffee bean, it could be tea. They all carry caffeine. But in energy drinks, many times it's synthetic. It's man-made, not real healthy. And I'll tell you, 80% of it comes from China. Any concern there? As far as protocol, cleanliness, inspection. So that's something to be concerned of.
Mhm.
When you also take an energy drink, you're probably getting at a minimum 3 times the amount of energy that as you would caffeine as you would in a cup of coffee. At some point, like anything else, even protein, which is good for you, excess stuff is never good for you. Even good stuff starts out good for you, but
Everything
too
with
much excess.
moderation.
That's right.
So this caffeine will now cause problems for your kidneys. So too much caffeine could give you kidney problems as well as other problems. It's certainly going to keep you up late at night. And then you have that crash effect of this is how these work. They immediately light you up because they're not made out of a plant-based source. A plant-based source like a caffeine, like a bean, a coffee bean, has releases certain hormones and caffeine over a certain period of time. These immediately, because there's no boundary, there's no barrier, and it releases this caffeine, and it's so much all at once it almost overpowers you. It makes you feel almost invincible in a sense. You have so much energy, but then you come crashing to the ground. This is not good. This is not a good thing for your body.
Everything comes with a price.
Right. That's not a long-term solution. You're right. It's a big up, but then there's going to be a big down on the other side. Right. So I think we have to
Exactly.
keep that stuff in mind. And it's also very addicting too. I've noticed that they can't stop. Right. I mean,
Caffeine is an addiction.
it
Yeah,
is an
it's a
addiction.
mild addiction if it comes from the bean, but once you enhance it by 3, 4, 5 times what you would get from a coffee bean, then it really becomes a total addiction.
Yeah, I have a couple cases back at my gym. Couple young guys, they started taking pre-workout, not even like caffeinated drinks, but powdered pre-workout, and they were taking so much that they both ended up at the hospital because they started having cardiac arrest.
Oh my God.
So we're talking about like excessive amount. Well, these kids, they had a history of drug addiction. So what they found out, oh, I'm in a rehab, so I cannot have any access to drug or alcohol. So what they started doing, they started substituting that high from drug by using extreme amounts of pre-workout powder. And like I said, everything comes out with the price. So their price will almost cost their own life.
Oof.
So, that's an extreme case, but it happened. And it surprisingly, it happened to two friends who discovered this extra high from it. And they both ended up pretty much within a few days at a hospital and hospitalized for a few days with cardiac arrest. Yeah.
That is terrible. That is absolutely terrible. You got to watch what you put in your body, right? And it's amazing how we all put in premium gasoline in our cars, but when we start thinking about what we put in our own bodies, we don't care. We'll put in
Yeah.
trash.
There's that comparison of taking care of your car that way. You don't want to put stuff that'll cause it to slug up, right?
Right.
Premium food in your body? Nah, I'll have a pizza. No, that's okay. Extra cheese for me. Extra cheese. And some pepperoni. What is pepperoni anyway?
One last thing I wanted to talk to you guys about, and I really like this part, because you do talk about being kind to other people. And I think that we need to have more kindness in this world. I think we're lacking in kindness. But how does being kind to other people improve your health?
It releases certain hormones in your body. Serotonin. You probably heard of serotonin. It's a happiness chemical.
Mhm.
Cortisol is the destroyer of our health, and too much serotonin and dopamine. These are the happiness chemicals. You don't even know what's going on. Now, I took care of an elderly gentleman that when I was an attorney, tried to set his apartment that he was living behind, he was homeless, on fire. And the judge from the desk, from the bench, appointed me as guardian. I took care of that guy for 16 years. 16 years. And I can tell you, to visit him, I had to travel an hour each way, home and back and home. And for some reason, it never bothered me. And this is before I underwent my own undertaking. I didn't understand what was happening, but I'd arrive back at my law practice at 2, 3 in the afternoon after visiting him, taking out to lunch, and feel completely refreshed. I didn't even know what was going on. Why? I mean, I should have been tired, a little bit upset that I had to take time out from a busy practice. Never happened. This guy went from a homeless guy to helping hundreds of people, because it turns out he was a graduate from MIT, and he started, and I met him in court, and he had to go back to a psychiatric ward, but I got him all the way up where he was in a assisted living. He was helping the assistant nurses become nurses with their exams, and then he taught English as a second language for 5 or 6 years to immigrants that came into the city. And everybody wanted this guy. I got a letter from the mayor that says, everybody wants to be in my guy's class. So never judge a book by its cover. And for me, I would do this all over again. And it did cost me several $1,000s a year, not just for gas, but I would dole out some money for a Patriots warm-up jacket, or for lunch all the time, or the tickets for the Red Sox games, because the home would take them in and do that. And I was not only fine with it, I think it did more for me than it did for him.
Yeah, that's the wild part is, when you help other people, first of all, I think that's why we're put on this earth. I think it's not to accumulate things and possessions that we can't take with us when we go, but I think it's just to help other people. And I think it will change you by helping somebody else.
Absolutely, 100%.
So I think we need to think about that a little bit more. Well, this has been a really great conversation. I'm wondering, for all of our listeners who are listening to you today, where can they go to connect with you guys? And of course, they're going to want to buy the new book. It's called The Better Me, A Better You. Where can they go to buy the book and connect with you guys?
This is pretty much the best time to
Yes.
ask, because within, I think, tomorrow or maybe even today, we're starting our online launch through Amazon platform. And for first 2 days, we're doing a online special ebook for 99 cents only. So if you guys are interested into getting some knowledge about how to eat, how to work out, how to pretty much live the healthy lifestyle, and this book, even though I'm almost 50, only 1 year shy from 50, and David is 83, this book doesn't target only people over 50 or over 80 years old. There is a lot of information that you can learn now in your younger age that you can benefit from later. And for personal contact, David and I, we both have our own Instagram. My Instagram is at Rado Pagac, and also my Facebook, Rado Pagac. Those are the best two sources of contact I can probably offer. So,
and I can tell you, I have on Instagram, agelessdave.com. Ageless Dave.
Ageless Dave, go and check that out at agelessdave.com. And of course, Rado Pagac, make sure that you connect with him on Instagram and go and buy this book at 99 cents, guys. You can go today and go and buy this book. I'm going to release this episode very quickly, so you can go and buy this 99 cents on Amazon. You can pick up this book electronic. It's called A Better Me, A Better You. Go and get that book today. You're going to be very happy.
And if it's not on yet today with Amazon, it'll be on tomorrow.
Perfect. All right. Well, David and Rado, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks for having us.
All right. And to our listeners, if you learned something today from David and Rado, I want you to share this episode. So I want you to get the link to this episode, put it in a group chat for all of your fraternity and sorority members to go and get in shape and improve their health and nutrition today. Or you can just share it on social media, throw it on Instagram, wherever, and make sure that people get this information. They need to hear what David and Rado are talking about. And of course, to pick up the book, A Better Me, A Better You. Thanks so much for joining us, and we'll see you.
Thank you again, Michael.
Thank you again.
Appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
Of course.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.